Hi to all the Libertas students, families, and staff members. I am Miss Rosalie, and I am here to share a special story. So, when we were planning for the Going Forth celebration for fifth graders this school year, we thought about adding Nikki Giovanni to the guest list and seeing if she could possibly send something or be a part virtually of our celebration. And so, because my community is named after her, I decided to reach out, and so I called her, and of course her voicemail said, "Don't leave a voicemail, instead write." And so I wrote her a letter and I wrote her a poem about the Giovanni community, and I knew that she might not respond in time for the ceremony, but I thought it would still be special. So she did end up sending a book to Libertas, and inside the book she signed it and also wrote a little note to us. So I'm super thankful and grateful for Nikki Giovanni taking the time and effort to do such a special thing for Libertas, and I wanted to read the book to you as well. The book is titled Lincoln and Douglas, and it's by Nikki Giovanni, and it's illustrated by Brian Collier. The note inside says, "To Libertas School, congratulations. I hope you love history as much as I do. Nikki Giovanni." Excuse me. Nikki Giovanni dedicates this book to all the friends of John Brown. The illustrator, Brian Collier, dedicates this book to one and all, both young and old, whose efforts for peace and equality continue to be anchored in love for mankind. I'm going to read the pages and then I'm going to show the pictures. Here is the cover page that has a proclamation from the president. The White House, March 4th, 1865. The evening sky was midnight blue. Stars sparkled as brightly as the jewels peeping from the earlobes of the ladies. The hall echoed with the rustle of their dresses set against the cadence of the gentlemen's boots. The reception for the newly re-elected President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, was in full swing. President and Mrs. Lincoln were strolling around the hall arm in arm, greeting friends and supporters. Mrs. Lincoln noticed the President occasionally peering at the door. "Is something wrong?" she asked. "I am looking for my friend, Frederick Douglass. I had asked him to come and bring his wife." "Oh, Abraham, not here. Surely you know no Negro should be at the White House." The president looked at her more with sadness than disappointment. Mrs. Lincoln's sympathies did not lie with the men and women of color seeking to be free. Frederick Douglass, she feared, had persuaded her husband to take up the cause of the enslaved. She did not want to see her beloved South change. Just then, Abraham Lincoln broke into a broad smile. "Here comes my friend Douglass," he proclaimed as he hurried over to shake hands. For both men, the journey across the ballroom felt like a journey across time. Young Frederick Douglass, refusing to be whipped again, ran away from his owner after fighting with the overseer. He crossed streams and fields until he came to sympathetic Quakers who offered him refuge. Young Abraham Lincoln walked 5 miles back to the country store because the clerk had given him a nickel too much in change. Both young men studied by kerosene light to read the Bible, print their letters, and better themselves. Douglass worked as a ship's caulker on the Baltimore shore. He longed to sail to freedom on one of the ships that he often watched heading out to sea. The first time Lincoln hauled farm produce down the Mississippi River to New Orleans, the journey opened his eyes to the world around him. When Lincoln was elected to the House of Representatives, Douglas called upon him as he called upon all the newly elected congressmen. Douglas wanted to teach. Lincoln wanted to learn. A friendship flowered based on mutual values, a love of good food, and the ability to laugh in the worst of times. Even in the worst of times. Both men hated slavery. Douglas because he had been enslaved. Lincoln because he had seen its evils in New Orleans. Both men knew their religion and the United States Constitution that human beings should not, knew from their religion and the United States Constitution that human beings should not be owned by other human beings. It hurt the goodness and hearts of all. A nation could not exist half enslaved and half free. Lincoln and Douglas were not the only ones who hated slavery. John Brown hated it too. A proud, hardworking farmer and white abolitionist, he believed that a man should not be able to make a living, that a man should be able to make a living from the land and take care of his own family. A recent decision to expand slavery into the Western territories meant that Brown would have to compete with the larger tracts of land slaveholders commanded. John Brown had not come this far, had not carried his dream of freedom so close to his heart to let it slip away now. He fought back. On October 16, 1859, John Brown led several men in an attack on the Harper's Ferry Arsenal in Virginia. During the raid, he seized the federal arsenal, killing several people and injuring many more. He intended to arm slaves with weapons from the arsenal and lead them in a war for emancipation. Abraham Lincoln never met John Brown. But Brown and Frederick Douglass were old friends. The Douglasses were happy to help the abolitionists as much as possible, but recognized the attack on Harper's Ferry as a foolhardy mission. They had helped Brown raise funds, though, as did many others, including their good friend, Mary Ellen Pleasant. Called Mammy Pleasant by friend and foe alike, she had run away from her Maryland plantation and made her way west, where she began a successful business and became a respected member of the San Francisco community. She, too, hated slavery and went to Virginia to support John Brown's cause. But the attack on Harper's Ferry failed. Luckily, news of this failure reached Mammy Pleasant before it was too late. She avoided the fate of John Brown and his brave men, who were all hanged. After the incident at Harper's Ferry, both North and South recognized that war was inevitable. The Republicans had nominated Congressman Abraham Lincoln for president. But the South knew that if Lincoln won, there could be no compromise on the issue of slavery. And in fact, Lincoln's first 4 years in office were dominated by the Civil War. Even on such a grand occasion as the inaugural reception at the White House, the grimness of war hung over the festivities. "Here you are, Fred," said the president. "I thought I saw you a while ago." "Yes, sir, you did. But there was a misunderstanding about the door through which I was to enter. The gentleman invited my wife and me to go around to the rear door, and we declined. No matter. It has been cleared up." "I'm so sorry," said the president. "I told my secretary to keep an eye out for you." Douglas smiled at Lincoln. "I think, sir, you did not mention that we are colored." "What a long journey, Fred, from the front door to this banister." Yes, sir, but not as long as from a plantation in Maryland to freedom. All journeys are long. That they are, Fred, said the president. Yet here we are. We made it, and tonight is a happy night. We must enjoy it. There will be difficult days ahead. Yes, sir, agreed Douglas, but we have the right captain to steer the good ship America. It may not be smooth sailing, but I've no doubt we will make it through. With good friends offering wise counsel, the president smiled, I don't worry either. And then at the end, there's a timeline that goes along with this book. So that is Lincoln and Douglas, and I am so happy that I got to share this story with you and that we got this special gift from Nikki Giovanni. I can't wait to see you all again. I miss you all. I love you all. And I'll see you soon.